I know the next thing is Disney related. So what's going on now?
Right. So I'm a frequent viewer of this channel on YouTube called Beyond the Trailer, hosted by Grace Randolph, and she actually did a video recently of her top 10 Marvel it's MCU related content that's coming out in 2021. There's 6 shows in there and 4 movies. And she said, she would like to hear, everyone else's top 10s. So we're gonna do that. Now, being that I've seen that video, I don't want my my views from that video to sway the top 10. So instead, what's gonna happen is Zeus is gonna give his top 10 from that list, and we'll talk about each one as we go down from 10 to 1, and that'll be it. So this is our top 10 list of MCU stuff coming out in 2021,
which is replacing the top 5 for the normal week. So
right,
we're gonna do
yes.
top 5 times duh. So obviously, you'll know by the end of the end of this video, like what her top 10 is, or what at least the content includes. So I'm gonna go based off 10 going up, just real quickly, what I think, and then Zino is probably gonna have a question or two about my particular opinion on this. So for me, the 10th one, which I guess you could say is the least one that I'm interested in watching, but more like it's just out of the anticipation for anything else. This will probably be the last one out of all of them that I'm really like, oh, I gotta watch them. But bear in mind, Marvel is kind of like, when Marvel releases things, it's pretty much just a standard for everybody to just watch it. Who, at least us, right? I mean, obviously, me and you are big MCU fans. We have a MCU playlist coming out and in-depth playlist coming out. So obviously, we're huge into MCU. Even if I were just like not excited about watching it, I'll still watch it. And half the time when I do that, I end up being wrong about my not really being in anticipation for it. I.e., Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, didn't give a damn about watching it, watched it, and was like, bam. So my number 10 will be What If.
Okay.
So I do know a little bit about it. It's basically kind of alternate what ifs on certain storylines, I'm assuming, and all that stuff.
So on the scale, before you go further, scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being I don't know a damn thing about it, and 5 being I'm completely in the loop about everything that's gonna happen here.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, with the majority of them, it'll probably be a 2.
Okay.
Meaning, I've read a synopsis of what it's about, but I don't really know enough about it to kind of to really be like, oh man, I really got to go. My number 1 obviously is a 5. Just because that one read up on and definitely have been looking forward to for a while. Yeah. So but with What If, a 2.
Yeah.
Like a 2 on, like, I know that the synopsis is basically, and obviously if you're a comic book fan, you knew that there were What If comics too.
Yeah.
I own a few of those.
For those who don't know, it's basically an anthology series, and it's going to be animated. And it's as the name suggests, it's a lot of like alternate scenarios for these characters, right? So it's like, what if I think one of them is like, what if Shuri was the Black Panther instead of T'Challa, or something like that? What if Captain America wasn't thought out? Some things like that, right?
Yeah.
And they have the actual, so the people who play the characters in the MCU, they have them voicing the characters in the What Ifs. So Chadwick Boseman actually voiced Black Panther in this.
Because that one, I could say, as far as anticipation goes, that one's probably a 5. Like, as far as anticipation goes, I definitely want to watch that one.
That particular episode.
That particular episode, and that's the thing I think is going to be pretty cool. Probably at the end of this would probably be one of the better shows, like my favorite ones out of all the shows that are going to come out, just because it provides you with that it's kind of a fan fiction kind of thing where you get to kind of get to watch, like, oh man, I really wish this had been the case, right? For the particular movie, because I know with the comics, what ifs were like, one of them was like that I read was what if Gwen Stacy hadn't died for Spider-Man, in the Spider-Man comics, or what was one of them that came out? What if Spider-Man had died and Mary Jane took over? So it's kind of like, it's going to be exciting. but I don't know enough of it to be like, oh, I really can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that might put people off, like people who are who know about the MCU and all that stuff and get excited about the MCU, biggest thing that might put people off is the fact that it's animated.
Yeah.
I think even though we've come a long way with animation and all that stuff, I think a lot of people still identify animation with like kid stuff, and they might not be like they might not tune in as they would for
the only ones that I would say don't mind that is people who are really into anime, because that's a bit that they have a big adult following, or people who really enjoy. Like I enjoy some of the adult cartoons, like F is for Family with Bill Burr, Bob's Burgers, stuff like that. But you're going from watching these being live action $100 million movies to now it's being a cartoon. Yeah. So I can see where that's kind of a little bit off-puttish.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. That's your number 10. What if? What's your number 9?
Number 9 is Miss Marvel, which is, and ironically, as far as knowledge, that one actually would be a number 1, but because it's not an alternate thing.
5 is what you know the most.
No, 1.
Oh, you mean 1? Okay, the other way.
I know more about What If than I do about Miss Marvel, but considering the fact that What If is an alternate reality, it's not really set in the canon, right? Mm-hmm. That's the reason why that one would be down here. Whereas Miss Marvel, I know that one's supposed to be in the canon,
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So because it's not one of. What If is probably the one that you can actually skip and still not miss a beat with the MCU.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. That's a fair point. So Miss Marvel, she's a Pakistani superhero. She's a huge fan of Captain Marvel, and what I've heard is that the show seems almost kind of Disney Channel-ish. I hope not. I hope
Zoe 101 or
well, that's Nickelodeon.
iCarly, but yes, and stuff like that.
Both of those are Nickelodeon. But yes, but yeah, similar vibe. I hope that's not the case. But the character of Miss Marvel, apparently in the comics, it did a really good job of like bringing Pakistani family and those kind of like values and stuff to the forefront in comic books, and it's something that people are looking forward to seeing. She was the protagonist in the Avengers video game that came out this past summer. That wasn't very good, but they're trying to push this character. So
it's already off to a bad start.
Right? Yeah, but they're really trying to push this character to the forefront. Kevin Feige believes in it. So apparently, apparently she's going to show up in Captain Marvel too. What's the question?
Oh, okay, which makes sense. But is there a laugh track on this?
I don't know, but I wouldn't think so. I think laugh track is very, very old timey and CBS.
Yeah, but Disney still does laugh track. That's the thing, though.
Well, Disney Channel, yes.
Disney Channel went from doing remember Even Stevens and Phil of the Future that had no laugh tracks to starting to do laugh tracks. They actually went back versus everybody else going.
Yeah, I don't get why they do that. I guess it's one of those things where
it's easier for kids to laugh at something, know when to laugh.
Exactly, it's like the cue, right? To know that this was supposed to be a funny thing. Yeah, they weren't
like
being serious.
Who are 4, if they're just watching us talk, and then all of a sudden me and my wife crack up, they start laughing. So that's
that's a funny thing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, I would say real quickly about the whole kids thing. If it's anything like the Freeform show Cloak and Dagger, it actually, I won't think it'll be that bad, because actually one thing that Cloak and Dagger had over any of the other shows is their soundtrack was lit. Like it was a good ass soundtrack, because it kind of did like the one thing you could say about like movies like Twilight and Divergent, the movies themselves might have sucked, but the music actually that came along with it was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So but Cloak and Dagger, aside from their soundtrack being badass, the acting was a little bit, teenage melodrama kind of acting. But it was actually, did you ever watch Cloak and Dagger?
No, I heard a lot about it. I wanted to watch it. But it was around that time when there was a lot of these ABC shows coming out, like Agent Carter and all that stuff. And I think Cloak and Cloak and Dagger was supposed to be on ABC, ended up getting moved to Freeform. And I didn't find the desire to go watch it because that's when also Agents of Shield started separating from the MCU proper.
Yeah, they started
Yeah,
doing
so
their
I
own
was
thing.
like, okay, there's no
I
need
would
to
say
actually
I
watch
would
it.
recommend you watch it and let me know what you think about it because it's
Okay.
actually
How many seasons?
There's only 2.
Okay, I'll check
And
it
it
out.
doesn't end, not really, it doesn't end on like a cliffhanger. And I think there's only one cliffhanger where it kind of feeds into them going into, which I haven't seen the show, The Runaways, which
Okay.
feeds into like season 2 of them because I think they end up making a feature there. So,
Hmm.
but it's actually not that, I didn't think it was that bad of a show. I really did enjoy it. So if Ms. Marvel's in there, that'd be cool. So,
Okay. So that's your number 9. Number 8.
Number 8, I'm going to go with, I was gonna say this. I was gonna actually say, no. I'm gonna go with Loki on this one.
Loki's number 8. Okay.
Yeah, and as far as what I know with that one's about a 4.
A 4.
I know that
okay.
it's basically the from, if you saw Endgame, which I would hope you have, if you're especially if you're just clicking on this for us to talk about it. I hope you have
Spoilers. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
it's him getting the
The Tesseract.
Yeah, and then just going into an alternate thing. So it's like they said, it's the 2012 Loki versus the 2017 Loki.
Mhm.
The only reason I put it down lower is because you've seen Star Trek the all 3 movies, right?
Yes. The Chris Pine
Kind of
movies.
seeing where the actor kind of outgrew the characters in the Star. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think the characters? You think Hiddleston has overdone the character at this point, or like?
I don't think he's overdone it. It's just kind of like you've gotten a little too old, which I don't want to say like that's ageist. It just doesn't fit the way. It's not as fresh as it was when he did it back in Thor and Thor 2 and Thor Ragnarok, right?
Did you see the trailer for Loki from
No, is it good?
the Disney Day? No, well, I mean, I liked it. But well, it's good that you haven't seen it yet. You can reformulate your opinion later, or you can
I
keep
can
it at
guarantee
8.
you that because Hiddleston is just such a good actor that I'm probably gonna love it. But
Yeah.
as far as anticipation for it, like me really needing to see it, I'll watch it when it comes out. It's kind of one of those things. I would say like my top 3 are ones like, yo, I really want to watch these ones. Like I need to see them,
Right.
But Loki is like, I'll watch it if it comes out. And it's like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So what's your number 7 most anticipated MCU thingy?
I will go with Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Okay. Shang-Chi. That's your first movie on the list.
Yes.
So scale of 1 to 5 of how much you know about it.
1.
1. Okay. So why?
I know.
Why?
2, because the Ten Rings, I know it's a callback to the Iron Man, the Iron Man movies,
and the Mandarin and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm moving it up a little bit more because I'm kind of hoping that they kind of rectify what happened in Iron Man 3 with Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley. Yeah, Ben Slattery.
Yeah, I just hope that they
Ben Slattery.
I don't know. Are you talking about the character's name? I'm talking about
the character's name. Yeah, the Ben Kingsley is the actor, Trevor Slattery. That was his name.
Yeah, kind of like I'm hoping they rectify because honestly, when Iron Man 3 came out, it was kind of like where they weren't really paying too much attention to the actual making the villains as well rounded as they could have. But Ben Kingsley is one of like the greatest actors alive.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it was a bit of a waste of his acting chops.
I don't know, man. I'm one of those. We disagree on this. You know that. I actually really like Iron Man 3.
I'm gonna make you hold off on your opinion until we actually talk about Iron Man 3 later on during our MCU playlist.
Okay.
Haha. Shameless plug coming soon.
But when we did Iron Man, the first one, I didn't. So we rewatched it to do the MCU retrospective. I didn't even know that they had referenced the 10 rings in there, but it's there. That's the group.
And that's the thing with me is the 10 rings. I remembered that I've been remembering that since it started. And I kind of felt like it was a little bit there wasn't a satisfactory ending to that. And I just feel like with this one, they're going to kind of do that. That's why it's a little bit higher than Loki. The only reason I would say it's not higher is because I'm anticipating the other stuff a little bit more.
Mhm.
On a scale of 1 to 5 on anticipation to watch, almost all of these are already at a 3 at the minimum.
Right. I mean, it's MCU. Like, we're gonna
It's
watch it.
MCU. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, before when I first heard it, I was like, eh. But now that it's starting to kind of come closer and closer, I think due to the pandemic, I've been able to like kind of stifle my anticipation for a lot of stuff since we've been waiting for
Black Widow.
Black Widow for what, 3 years now. So it's kind of like one of those things where like I'm stifling my anticipation for it. But Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, I would throw that up there. I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with it, especially now that they're bringing Asian characters into it, which actually seems like good. That's great with that when it comes to diversity.
Right. One quick thing about Iron Man 3. The 10 rings, the 10 rings in there weren't actually the bad guys. They are a real terrorist organization, and Guy Pearce's character, knowing that they're real, used them as a ruse to to further advance his bidding. But they were never actually a part of that movie.
So then that just makes it where from the first one, it makes it definitely even more unsatisfying because like
exactly it's more tied to the first one. Yeah.
So
yeah,
which I actually really do enjoy that to move forward in the MCU. Kevin Feige is making sure to do callbacks to the past, which I'll touch on even a little bit more in a minute.
Yeah, you saw that in Far From Home too. He called back.
Yeah, when it just brought back these guys that you were just side characters, and then when we watched Iron Man 1, I was like, oh, that is the guy from.
No.
They didn't like put in a random ass dude. Yeah. He is in there.
Okay. Number.
That's my number 8.
No, that's your number 7, right? Because you did 10 was What If.
You're right, number 7.
Okay. Right? Yeah. Okay. So what's your number 6?
Eternals.
The Eternals. Okay. Why is that? Well, actually, first of all, 1 to 5 on how much you know.
As far as much as I know is 2, but the reason why it's higher than the other ones is just because I'm interested in a lot of the actors that are in it. Angelina Jolie being in MCU now. I forget his name, but he plays Paperboy from Atlanta.
I know who you're talking about. I'll put it in there. I'll put it on the screen. But also Kumail Nanjiani from Silicon Valley, he's there too.
Him, and that's where I don't know if I forgot who did it. Was it Oliver? What's his name? John Oliver, or maybe it was Seth Meyers, who were like talking about off the cuff. They're like, oh, a lot of things happened, including sexy. What's his name?
Sexy Kumail.
Because he was on the cover of Men's Health. So anyway, but yeah, that's the reason why I'm anticipating this one a lot more, is just because I'm really looking forward to the actors. And actually, the guy who plays Paperboy, which you would have listed the name by now on the screen, he's
Brian Tyler Henry, something like that. Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. You'll for sure put it on.
I'll put it on there. It'll be a correction. I'll put his real name.
He's playing the first openly. They said he's playing the first openly gay superhero. Yeah, which is actually, like I said again. To those of you who have never really watched our listened to our YouTube show and are doing it because we talked about the MCU. Go ahead. Brian
Tyree Henry.
There you go. So that is just, to me, that's just an amazing thing in regards to diversity, right? It just bringing in different diversity, and I don't feel like they're forcing it just to bring in diversity for diversity's sake. Right. They're just bringing in diversity, and it's just like, does it take away from the character? Does it add to the character? Probably not, but it's an interesting thing to be able to have that kind of thing. Because like one thing that me and you talked about, right, is that scene where all the women characters in Endgame come in and start, whooping ass. It's just like, my 4-year-old daughter will never grow up not being able to see something like that. So
right.
It's just something cool for people to know. But yeah, number for me is Eternals.
Okay, nice.